What I'm doing on this video on is Glenn Beck. I noticed some very strange things about this picture. If you take a look at it, you'll notice that he has a piece of black tape over his mouth. The black X. If you remember, the X represents the planet Saturn. It's the oldest letter that is used to it's the oldest letter that is associated with it because, as I told you, if you take the upper part of the X and the lower part and you overlap them, you get the seal of Saturn. The color black is the color of the planet Saturn. He's got Kronos, the god of time. He is the one that puts a hurting on you when you don't do what you're told. This is why you see all authoritative figures today wearing black. Judges, cops, rabbis, Catholic priests, nuns, just about anybody, Nazis, SWAT teams, anybody wearing black it's an authoritative figure, and it goes back to a thing called the Saturnalian priesthood. It's been around for a long time. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. The X represents Saturn. The X represents the unknown. So here we have a black X on Glenn Beck's face. Unfortunately, it is not to keep his mouth shut. It is actually a reverse message that he is stating, basically, that he is speaking for, as I call it, the machine. The other thing that's very interesting is that if you look in the back, behind his head, you'll see a certain background. It's like an aquamarine with kind of like when you look at a TV with the fuzz in the background, except this is aquamarine. The only other place I've ever seen that was in a video that came out in 1981 by a group called the Talking Heads, called Once in a Lifetime. Well, it's interesting because that song is definitely Kabbalistic and is definitely dealing with time and where these guys are winding up as they're jumping around through time. The other interesting thing about this photograph is that the image of Mr. Beck, his pupils are not round. They're actually little cubes. I mean, literally little cubes. This is not pixelation. These are cubes. Sometimes symbols are put into society to act on the subconscious to get them to think things when they see it. This is an old trick that's been around for a long time. However, you have to blow the picture up to see the eyes, to see the cube. And the only reason I did that is because I understand what the black X is. And seeing that the media that they're dealing with there is information, you know it's going to be bullshit because it's coming from the machine. So I ran across this a long time ago where I started looking at the pupils, and this is a reoccurring thing where you'll see not a round pupil, but you will see a cube. And so this is telling me that this is the machine doing this. This is a machine, for lack of a better word. You're in it, I'm in it. It's like, you know, for lack of a better word, it does not delete from religious beliefs, but it is the reality that we live in. And that being the case, you know, I'm seeing more and more of these things popping up, probably because I'm more aware of them. But they always refer back to Saturn. And, you know, the Jews have written that Saturn is the heaven to our earth. Now, what do you think they're saying that? The words Yahweh and Jehovah both are Hebrew for Saturn. The Jehovah's Witnesses believe that the rapture, that they're going to be whisked off to Saturn. That's their words, not mine. This just keeps going and going and going and going. So I want you to watch it. I want you to look at his pupils when it comes to that part of the video, and watch at the very end. You'll see that the background from the Talking Heads video is exactly the same background that's behind Glenn Beck. I think somebody is really playing with us with time and space manipulation, and I don't think that everybody that's here is actually human. If you watch Star Trek, they got a thing called the Borg. Guess where they live? On a big black cube, same black cube that's in the UN prayer room and in Mecca that represents Saturn, and they're half man, half machine. And I think there's a meshing of man and machine going on here without people being aware of it. And here we see Glenn Beck with the black X over his mouth. As I said earlier at the beginning, the black color represents the planet Saturn, and the X represents time. Remember, if you connect the four corners, you have a time cube. It's time and space. So that whole picture right there is not showing him being silenced. It's showing him speaking for the machine. And I want you to look at that background. You see it? It kind of looks like a TV that's fuzzy, but it's really not. That is like the mind or the consciousness of the machine. That's the only way I can describe it. Like I said, I'll show you a video at the end of this video that's the only other time I've seen that. But that is not who you think it is, and I'll prove that, because once we get to looking at the pupils of this certain individual, you'll find out that this is not a human. This is a created individual that is done by computer simulation, and I'm beginning to think that that's most of what we're seeing on TV. I want you to look very carefully. Look at Mr. Beck's left pupil. This is not pixelated. This is not enhanced. It is exactly what it looks like. It is a black cube. The black cube represents the planet Saturn. It always has and it always will. Interestingly enough, if you look at his right pupil, you'll see that it's dark on one side and light on the other. This is not, again, this is not something that was done to convey a subliminal message. It's far too small a detail, but I learned a long time ago that when you look at these pictures, enlarge their pupils and you'll start finding more and more of this. This is not from here. This is definitely not coming from here. Somebody or something is behind this, and they're playing games with us. That I'm sure of. This is the black cube used on Star Trek, where the Borg live. They are half human, half machine. Notice they're on a big black cube. It is my opinion that there's a movement on this planet to interface man with the machine. Because I told you, I think that we're in a simulator, and that this version of man is not working out. And so there's a very, very big movement to replace man with a better model. Hence, remember the beast 666. The beast is Saturn in Revelations. The mark of the beast. The mark of the beast. The 666 could very well be a model number of a machine, not necessarily this other version that you keep hearing. Mark just means make. I worked on torpedoes in the military. A Mark 46 torpedo was called Mark 46, but it was a make 46. So, it's funny that Star Trek is using a big black cube with half human, half machines trying to destroy humanity. Now watch slowly as the picture of this man overlaps. It goes from 2 eyes to 1 eye. And you'll see that this is absolutely 100% a black cube. The black cube represents Saturn, and it represents authority and oppression. Saturn is the ruler of this planet, but there's a very big movement going on behind the scenes that you know nothing about, and I've been catching this over and over and over and over, and I really wonder how many of these things are actually walking around in the street right now, that they've perfected this. In 1985, they took, well, probably before that, this is when they admitted to it, they took brain cells and adhered them to a microchip, and it grew. So now you have a human brain cell fused with the microchip. So as you can clearly see at this point, this is his left eye. It's a perfect cube. It's not pixelated. It is exactly what it is. And this is unrecognizable to anybody that doesn't know what they're looking for at a distance. The only reason I found this, I started finding this by accident a long time ago once I understood what this cube thing is. And you'll see this more and more in photographs. Now getting towards the end of the film, you're going to see from David Burns, the Talking Heads, the song is called Once in a Lifetime. It's about being in time. It's being in different times. And you'll notice at the end, I'll overlap it, and you'll see that the same design behind Glenn Beck's head is exactly the same design that's at the end of the film, the video by David Burns, representing the consciousness of the machine.